Greetings, Algo Artisans. It's Cowboy. It's the end of the day on Monday, end of the business day. It's going to be a little bit of a slow week, I think. We have FOMC on Wednesday. So let's jump into the charts right now for Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, ETHENA, and ONDO. Here we go. Okay, so we're looking here at a Bitcoin chart, and you can see some marks that I made this morning during the live show, and not much has changed since then. It does seem price is finding a little bit of support right around the 61,900, 62,000 area, as price is now broken below that. As of now, the algos are still relatively bearish. We're going to take a little bit of a look at the liquidity and see if any of these liquidity nodes have changed. So for those who might be new to the concept, liquidity is basically where these leveraged trades have liquidation points, right? So if you're trading with leverage on the leverage exchanges, which a lot of volume is, if your trade goes too far in the wrong direction, you will be liquidated unless you add more margin. We have found that price tends to go to those, and the Kingfisher.io is a great tool for checking out where that might be. So let's take a look. A lot of leverage to the upside, pretty near to price as well. So we got a pretty big stack from 63,000 all the way up to 64. That's just right above price. Another decent block, 64.5 to 65.3, and then again at 66 to 66.5. I'd almost say that it's just one big block of liquidity, mostly from 63,000 up to 66. Mostly, there's a little bit of gappage in there, but let's take a look at what that looks like on the chart, and it's not too different to what we had on here. Not really. It seems that some of this top side liquidity has moved down a bit there. So, but basically there's liquidity above price. And if price does decide to bounce to the upside, we have an idea of where it could go. And that does support the idea that we might be seeing a kind of a tighter range form at the bottom of this larger consolidation. Now, the longer that price stays in this area without breaking below 60,000, in a bullish environment, that means that price might actually head up, but it does depend on what's happening. It will depend on if there are higher lows. For example, a couple of different scenarios here. And these are just hypotheticals. Doesn't mean price will go like this or exactly like this, but just to kind of demonstrate what price can do. If price were to just bounce up and grab these, that's one thing. Now, after it does that, what happens next is key. Price comes down and just rotates right here, then that's simply creating a range, not necessarily putting a lot of pressure to the downside. And we do see here on some prior areas here, like this bounce right there and this bounce right here, price is being held up right about 61,000. Seems as if price is being held up. Now, of course, it can break downward, and we did have a little bit of liquidity downside, but not a whole lot. But if price just ranges here, then it's not really supporting that much of a thesis that price will break below. It might even be that 61 is being defended by the big money. However, if this range looks a little bit different, where the consecutive highs become lower and lower and the bottom stays the same, then that could be an indication that price will break below. Because what that would mean is that the bears are catching up sooner and the bulls are just defending the same price. So that might be a bearish look, right? And of course, none of this has happened yet. It's way too early to even talk like that. Right now, algo-wise, the higher time frame is bearish, but again, price could rotate up to grab some of this and then head down. That could happen. It's a little too soon to tell, and the volatility is so low, not very much is happening in the charts. However, once volatility gets extremely low, then price tends to move. It's like it coils up and then it explodes out. So as that continues to happen, we will monitor. Again, the liquidity is to the top side, but the algos are a tad bearish here. I could, like I said, I did draw this move up because there is a bit of a bounce here. There's a bit of a support here on the daily algo-wise. So we could see a move up, but again, I think we'll probably see a revisit to 60,000 unless the bulls really kick in after that. So that's just what we're looking at with Bitcoin. Not terribly exciting, but there is money to be made on the lower time frames. So that's something to keep an eye on. Let's take a look at Ethereum. Again, we looked at this this morning, and it does seem as if since mid-April, it's actually been a little bit stronger than Bitcoin, or Bitcoin has been ranging sideways. Ethereum it looks as if it's heading upwards. We do have a pretty low wick to the downside here and a high wick to the upside, but generally it looks looks as if it's creating an upward channel. And historically, after the halving, which was April the 20th, Ethereum tends to gain strength against Bitcoin at that time. For the moment, this does look like, these kind of old school bear flags, and price could pop down from there, but I do think that would be greatly dependent on what Bitcoin does. Let's take a look at the algo. Short-term bearish, mid-term kind of bearish, almost neutral. I would expect it to possibly head down to grab some liquidity around 3,000, maybe 2,700. However, let's take a look at Ethereum compared to Bitcoin. Okay, so this might give us a little bit of elucidation, right? What's interesting here, now it's not like we haven't seen this before, even in the last several months, but Bitcoin looks like it's gaining just some short-term strength on Bitcoin going back to just before the halving. However, it is getting knocked down as we speak in the last couple of days. So for now, the only thing I can really see just in the short term is that it looks as if there might be some kind of a range building. It's not very clean though. I'm not confident right now. I mean, it's there, but I'm not confident it's going to continue to be here. But this range, as you can see, is at the bottom of a very large move down. And historically, after the halving, Ethereum starts to do a little bit better. So we're just going to have to keep an eye on Ethereum as well, just like everything else. But for the current, if I were going to trade it right now, I would be careful, but I might look for another move up. There would have to be a lot of agreement on the algos for me to long this. What may happen, just from what I'm seeing, you might see a short pop up and then a move down. As of now, I would expect to move down to 3,000 and maybe 2,700. We'll see what happens. I wouldn't take that trade right now. I would need to see what price action does, what the algos are saying. Again, there's not a lot of volatility. And by the way, Wednesday is the FOMC. I've talked about that this morning, and I talked about it, I believe, in our video on Sunday. FOMC is a massive event, and right now it's an even more massive event because we're seeing a lot of things happen around the world. We're seeing gold be repatriated from the US to other countries. We're seeing the bond market going into a direction that doesn't look good for US bonds. The demand for US bonds is decreasing. There's always that chance that money and bonds and debt starts to make its way back to US shores, which would cause an inflationary event. And at the same time, we're in a weird spot where if something breaks in that market, then we might see kind of a deflationary event. It's really strange time because, long story short, the market has been held up by some sort of whiz-bang type market instruments, messing with the VIX, doing all kinds of crazy things to keep the stock market, the equities market going up. So it's an extremely unpredictable time. Now, if money does come back to our shores, it probably would hold up the stock market, but what we might find is that the inflation would really ensue. Food, rent, all kinds of stuff would become expensive. However, crypto would go up, and anybody who is swing trading or anything like that would be able to take advantage of a lot of longs. Now, that's a lot of talk, things that haven't happened yet. However, Wednesday is going to be interesting because what I've been talking about for the last 2 minutes in the bond market is going to have an effect on what we hear on Wednesday, right? Now, there have been talks of the, rate cuts this year, and now we're talking about maybe we're not going to see one for a few months at least. And then there are others who think we might see a surprise hike. It's just extremely, it's very unpredictable, as I say. For me, right now, most of my money with crypto is going to be made in a buy and hold, and then I do small swing trades, and I avoid large news events so I can take advantage of these small moves. And until Wednesday, I just think it's going to be pretty slow. So I'm more looking at like a higher time frame scenario. And again, I do think that 3,000 and 2,700 are likely. Wednesday might bring us a surprise, and everything I just said goes out the window, and that's just how trading is. Solana, I made some good money short in Solana the last few days. Solana has been incredibly bearish this year, and there is a lot of retracing that might need to happen in order to even that out, because hard up usually means hard down. And right now, the algos are bearish right now, that's for sure. However, the support for Solana is pretty strong in this area right here. You can see that price tried to rally below this $131.63 area, and it just keeps being pushed back up. So now that might be an area that important people are defending. It might be an area that the market is defending. There's a lot of liquidity right here at this consolidation prior to a major move up here. So it could be the price is just grabbing liquidity off of that. In the meantime, there's a little bit of liquidity even to the left of this current consolidation that I drew. You just have this current demand zone that I drew due to this consolidation to the left. So price could again grab liquidity and head up. but it does actually seem right now as if the algos are bearish enough to push price down to the sub 120 levels. It seems possible. However, we'll see about that. It might be that this 130 is defended and price actually rallies up from here, or it might head down before it rallies up. You know, those things can happen, and the algos do tell all. And right now the algos say do not go long, not yet. And if the algos tell me to go long, it would make sense in this area because their liquidity is there and this has been defended. So until the algos say to go long, I will not go long. However, being at this area where price is being forced up, I probably won't go short either. So this is kind of a no trade zone. Even this most recent blue candle that you see right here, price tried to go down and was crushed right back upwards. A lot of people thought that Solana was just going to go up from there, and I said, oh no, and I shorted and I made money, and that's that. Okay, let's take a look at ETHENA. Now ETHENA I think has a great feature, and it was doing great before the halving, before we just saw Bitcoin really start to retrace, which is unfortunate. It does seem to be holding its own though. It is up sub $1. We talked about this possibly happening last week, and here it is. There was a demand zone that was created, or at least identified, right in this, you know, say 88 to 81 cents, and price jump up from that, and so far seems to be still kind of obeying that. There's not a lot of data from the algos on this because this is such a new chart, so I can only really rely on price action for anything high time frame. So seeing as price is still respecting this low 80s, high 70s area, it could be that that's where price finds its floor. It's hard to say. ETHENA does have a lot of collateral that is made of Bitcoin and Ethereum and some other cryptos. So there's always that chance that because the collateral is shrinking with the price of Bitcoin and Ethereum, that ETHENA is going to take a hit because company valuation is going to be low just based on its collateral diving. So until Bitcoin does anything, we might just see a compressing of ETHENA for a while. And it wouldn't surprise me to see it continue to rotate between, say, this, 90 cents and low 80s, even high 70s, and just continue to rotate in that area. It might do a lot of things, right? There's not a lot of chart history for us to look at and say, hey, this could do that, that could do this. If anything, I probably would look for price. If I'm going to trade ETHENA, like in the short term, I would look for ETHENA to either head down, find support, and head up and take some low time frame trades, because this is a daily chart that you're seeing, right? So maybe some opportunities in a low time frame for ETHENA. There's just not a lot of volatility right now. There's not a lot of price change to play with, but that depends on your point of view. I suppose if you're used to trading equities, which can sometimes move a lot slower than crypto, they would love to see this kind of price action. So I'm not saying that the money's not there to be made. I'm just saying that I would be really careful in trading something like this. And again, of course, price could go ahead and start to head back up, and it could start to head back down. I should say head back down further. We just don't have a lot of data besides short time frame algos. If I were to click onto the algo screen, I know that I probably wouldn't see a whole lot here. Very short time frame though, on the daily, for a short time, this kind of a midterm time frame, if you will, the force is upwards. So right now, I would actually think that price is either going to just stay to the top of this range or even possibly head up, but I would be careful of this local top here sitting at about $1.11, $1.12. Price does manage to head up, it's going to run into some trouble anywhere from $1.02 to $1.10. Okay, so that's ETHENA. Now ONDO, and that'll be our last coin here. A very clear range being set with ONDO. Now ONDO, I did a whole video on that. Go check it out from a week or two ago, and it's got all the right partnerships. I think it's partnered or at least associated with BlackRock. I think this may just continue to range as we're seeing. We can see that the moves up were slammed back down, but the moves down were slammed back up. So I would expect to see this range until it doesn't. If price does break downward, we might see it actually possibly create a lower range to respect some prior price action that happened back in March and late February, where you have this, might be where price goes next if it breaks downwards. But right now, I see no reason from a price action standpoint for it to break downward. Algos are a little bearish, but they're also weak. There's not a lot of force behind the price. So, and when you don't see a lot of force behind the price, that's when you see price ranging. Right now, if I had to bet on whether it would go down or up, if it broke out of this consolidation, I would say down, and I would say that it would go to test anywhere from these wicks down here. So anywhere from, say, 69 cents all the way down to 38 cents. That's a very large range. It probably would not do it all at the same time unless Bitcoin had a big problem and took a big fall. So in the meantime, I'm going to say it ranges, or it might move down in the current environment until Bitcoin starts to move up, and then that's a whole nother story. So I do hope this was helpful. Heavy charting session. I actually prefer to chart more than anything else. This is how I spend most of my day, researching coins and the company and all that. I do these, for these videos, and it's good to know that information. But by and large, watching the charts is going to tell me what I need to know. As far as trading, if you want to know how we do this, come over to algofactory.tech. We teach people how to build their own trading method, their own trading algorithm. It can be old school trading. There doesn't have to be any computer coding. You can just trade without learning how to code or without having it hard coded, or we can help put you on the path towards the hard coding. Either of these is possible. Come on over algofactory.tech, and don't forget, trade your job, upgrade your life. We'll see you on the next one.